This is Mystery Port Chronicles. I am Nathaniel Aldridge, a man who watches, listens, and writes down the truth. Here in the fog and lamplight of the harbor, every detail speaks. Evelyn Hart records the case files, I follow the clues, and together we bring light to places built on shadows. Let us begin. The Southbound Star docked a little before 2 in the morning, when the harbor felt more like a memory than a place. The fog was so thick that the lamplight seemed to hover in the air, as if someone had hung it on invisible wires. I was already on the pier when he arrived. Half an hour earlier, I had received an urgent letter, 3 lines, no signature. Mr. Aldridge, an irreplaceable piece has been stolen. The culprit is on board. Please come to Pier 3. Most desperate notes I receive are full of exaggeration and panic. But this one carried something else. Restrained terror. Real fear. Evelyn stepped up beside me, notebook already open. "Who wrote it?" she asked. "I still don't know, but whoever it is, they're afraid they're next on the list." When the ship finally pulled in, we saw the man who had summoned us. A heavy-set fellow, wrinkled suit, eyes bruised by anxiety. He waved at us urgently. "Mr. Aldrich, thank God you came," he said. "I'm Edgar Malloran, director of Edenshaw." The safe where the jewel had been kept was inside Malloran's private cabin, a reinforced room on the mid-deck. He led us there. As soon as we stepped inside, I noticed the details. The hinges on the safe weren't damaged. There were no signs of forced entry. The lock had been opened with the correct key. Malloran swallowed hard. "The key was with me, and with my nephew, Henry. He was responsible for transporting the piece during the voyage." "Where is Henry now?" I asked. "He's detained in the crew's quarters," Malloran replied, lowering his voice. He claims he did nothing, but I found him inside the cabin, alone, with the safe open and the jewel already gone. And he refuses to say a single word." His silence said plenty. Clara Malloran was a 24-year-old woman, steady posture, intelligence in her eyes, and a nervousness she tried, unsuccessfully, to hide. While Evelyn interviewed her, I noticed her restless fingers, a clear sign of truth mixed with guilt. I knew about the jewel," Clara said, "and I knew Henry had access to the safe. He told me my uncle was suspicious of everyone, and, well, he saw me cry when I learned that." "Why?" I asked. She drew a deep breath. "Because there was someone on board who shouldn't have been there." "Who?" "Sir Reginald Ashcombe, the diplomat responsible for presenting the jewel to the foreign delegation. He insisted on boarding at the last minute, said he wanted to personally oversee the transport. But he hates ships, Mr. Aldrich, hates them. He would never travel by sea unless he had very convincing reasons." Evelyn jotted that down and asked, "Did he have any financial interest in the jewel?" Henry Malloran, 22 years old, a face far too young for so much anguish, was sitting on the edge of the bed when we entered. He didn't lift his eyes, didn't defend himself, didn't accuse anyone. The posture of an innocent man, or someone willing to carry the weight to protect another. "Henry," I began softly, "you know why we're here." Nothing. "We're not against you. We're against the lie that's hurting everyone." A faint tremor in his hand. Evelyn stepped closer and spoke in the tone that usually breaks down walls. "Henry, Clara is desperate. If you stay silent, she'll carry this guilt alone." "Clara," he whispered for the first time. That was enough. I heard something. I was returning to my uncle's cabin when I heard voices inside. He was arguing with someone with a calm voice, cold. "Sir Reginald?" I asked. "Yes." Henry clenched his fist, rage held tightly in place. I walked in to see what was happening. The safe was open. Sir Reginald was holding the jewel. We descended into the hold of the Southbound Star. The smell of damp wood, aged ropes, and trapped sea air turned it into a dimly lit maze. And there, between crates still sealed, we found what no one expected. An unconscious man tied up, breathing with difficulty. Malloran recognized him immediately. "That's Mr. Thaddeus Brace, the personal guard I assigned to accompany the jewel." A personal guard tied up, which meant someone had tried to stop the jewel from reaching the port before the ship even docked. Evelyn knelt beside him. His pulse was Thaddeus Brace regained consciousness 40 minutes later, and his first sentence changed everything. "Not Sir Reginald. It wasn't him." Evelyn leaned closer. "Who was it?" Brace inhaled sharply, grimacing in pain. "Someone from the crew." "Who?" I asked. "The first officer. Patrick Crow." Crow. A disciplined man, respected on the docks, known as incorruptible. Those are always the most dangerous, because no one suspects them. Brace continued. He called me over to discuss cargo security. When I turned, I returned to the hold. In the central stack, there was a crate labeled 42B, listed as ropes and coal. But unlike the others, it had fresh hand marks, partially removed dust, and a side slit caused by a metal hook. I opened it. Inside was the jewels case, empty but intact, along with a bluish cloth and a half-burned note. Evelyn lifted it carefully. On the note it read, "As soon as we dock, deliver the cargo to Reginald. Payment will come on..." We set out to find the first officer. The port was silent, except for the groan of ropes and the heavy breathing of the sea. "He didn't run," I murmured. "How can you tell?" Evelyn asked. "Because men like Crow don't run. They hide. And they hide nearby." The wet wood showed clear footprints, and I saw three things: fresh marks from heavy boots, a trail of droplets, likely seawater mixed with blue dye, and a faint metallic tapping against wood. We followed the prince to Warehouse 7, an abandoned storage house. I pushed the door open. And there was Patrick Crow, kneeling, holding a small chest. "Mr. Aldridge," he said, in a defeated tone, "I knew you'd come. Where is the jewel?" He opened the chest. The Edenshaw sea sapphire rested inside, glowing like a fragment of the night sky sealed in glass. I wanted to deliver it to the diplomat himself. With the promised sum, I could rebuild my family's company. So Reginald betrayed you. Crow laughed bitterly. He said agreements change. The next morning brought more than light. It brought justice. Henry was cleared of all accusations. Reginald tried to flee, but was arrested at the border. Crow turned himself in, receiving a reduced sentence for cooperating. Clara visited Henry on the pier, and the two cried in silence. Evelyn wrote in the final report, "Some jewels shine too bright for human hands, and some burdens weigh more than gold." Handing me the notebook, she asked me, "What do you think, Nathaniel?" "I think," I replied, "the truth doesn't return what we've lost.